Welcome to Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering from ELD's Time Vault Games. This is the finals of the Team Trio Open, the Legacy seat on camera, and we see Team Michael Rapp, Yorion and, well, no, not Yorion and Tax. This is Blue Red Delver using a Mishra's Bauble. I'm actually not sure what the team name is. Sorry, guys. Other side here, Cephalid Breakfast. Two of the best decks in the format. Blue Red Delver versus Cephalid Breakfast. Urza's Saga, a dangerous card, especially against a mull this low. Gets promptly taken care of with Wasteland. Delver of Secrets on board for Delver. Going to look to have a quick clock and make up for this mulligan. Bar, land, artifact, sorcery, the bin. Nomads on the other side, but a pair of Dragon Rage Channelers is not going to be able to outrace this. A uncounterable Cephalid with Cavern of Souls. The only card that would have gotten a potential benefit there is Daze. Daze could have possibly stopped this if it wasn't for Cavern, but with just a single card while tapped out, I mean, this is definitely a case of the shields being down. We see Cabal Therapies. Narcomoeba's going into the graveyard. Narcomoeba's going to return to the battlefield, enabling the flashback of therapy, getting any potential card out of Delver's hand. Entire list getting put into the graveyard. There's the Dread return, and there's going to be a Thassa's Oracle. In the graveyard as well, so sacrificing 3 creatures, Dread returning Thassa's Oracle, and that is going to be a wrap. Cephalid Illusionist just targeted over and over again by Nomad, milling yourself out. What the deck does, brutally efficient at just 2 mana, can happen on the literal second turn uncounterably thanks to Cavern or Aether Vial. Those Narcomoebas fill the graveyard, allowing for the Dread return. Cabal Therapy. Yeah, you're running 3 copies of Narcomoeba, 2 copies of Cabal Therapy, and along with your 2 combo pieces, that means you're going to be able to make your opponent discard 2 different cards from their hand. Very difficult to interact once the deck starts comboing off thanks to those Cabal Therapies. Sometimes, though, you do need to use the therapies on yourself if you get a combo piece stranded in your hand, for example, the Dread Return or Thassa's Oracle. That's why those were in there originally, as this deck used to be insanely clunky, running things like the Mimeoplasm along with Murderous Redcap and Lord of Extinction, or a build that I actually managed to win a tournament with the Angel of Glory's Rise build that used to bring back Laboratory Maniac in Azami along with Grand Abolisher. And that build was good enough to actually win a tournament with. The other lists, I kind of went 3-1 a lot in the pursuit of somehow getting a W with such a clunky list. But with the printing of Thassa's Oracle, that all changed. You no longer needed 3 garbage cards in your deck. You got to play 1 somewhat decent card. I mean, Thassa's Oracle on its own, I've cast that card or vialed it in many times to take a look at the top of the library, get some type of card selection, and often sacrificed it to Cabal Therapy to clear the way for the eventual win, just to bring it back later with Dread Return. So the card is totally fine on its own. Also pitches to Force of Will if you happen to have more than 1 copy in the deck, which you typically do post-sideboard. And Blue Red Delver has its work cut out for it. It's certainly up to the task. It has a lot of interaction. Things like Lightning Bolt are actually potentially good versus the deck. There are some draws that it's just hot garbage against. For example, if they have a Nomad in core on board with another creature, the Lightning Bolt is just going to always end up killing the other creature, since that redirect actually becomes relevant. You can redirect the 3 damage from the bolt to the other creature. And of course, if you have the Nomad and the Cephalid on board, you're just able to mill yourself out at instant speed. So it's really difficult to interact with at times, but sometimes those lightning bolts just line up well. Same thing with counter magic. At times, it's exactly what you need. Other times, they have a Aether Vial or Cavern of Souls, and you're just sitting there with counter magic in hand. It makes the deck extremely dangerous. Post board, this list is running the Paradigm Shift kind of transformational sideboard. It's devastating versus Graveyard Hate. If your opponent's bringing in something like Leyline of the Void or Rest in Peace, you're going to be able to use Paradigm Shift to just exile your entire library at just 2 mana and then put in your Thassa's Oracle off of Aether Vial or hopefully Cavern and just win the game that way. Aether Vial, one of the strongest cards in this deck, making things uncounterable, giving a type of acceleration, and also giving you that instant speed counterplay. For example, against a card like Dress Down, you can activate Aether Vial on your opponent's turn if you have your combo on board, and they have to respond with a Dress Down if they have it. Otherwise, you're just going to win the game on the spot. The Dress Down will not interact once the Thassa's Oracle's triggered ability is on the stack. Getting rid of its abilities after that are totally irrelevant. See Urza's Saga casting the aforementioned Aether Vial, and that does merit a Force of Will. Pitching Ponder. Dragon Rage puts a Delver into the graveyard. We've got instant and creatures so far. Sorcery and land. Not likely far behind. Takes as a Ponder and a Fetcher Wasteland. There's the Wasteland, so just a sorcery. Expressive Iteration and Ponder. Either one is going to up this Dragon Rage Channeler. Not happening. Axe with Dragon Rage. And a Murktide Regent. Well, that is definitely setting back Dragon Rage quite a bit, but Murktide, a 5/5 flyer on its own. Just a couple of cards left in hand for Delver. Another aggressive draw. You do not want to give Cephalid breakfast all day. Also don't want a strictly aggro racing hand. You're going to want some type of disruption or interaction. It's going to be hard to just straight up outrace a combo. There's some interaction right there. Unlicensed Hearse. That can stop entire graveyard plan while actually bringing a little bit of a clock. Also grow the Murktide by exiling instants from your own graveyard. Not bad at all. Down to 11. Looks like could actually get within bolt range. The activation of the unlicensed Hearse. Uses the unlicensed Hearse on himself and gets rid of these instants from the graveyard. That'll grow the Murktide up to a 7/7 plus the Dragon Rage. 8 and 3 more is 11, which would be Xaxes. But oh no, a Cephalid Illusionist has resolved. Oh, this is a really... Well, he's got no cards in hand. But he's not going to be able to win with a Dread Return right now, thanks to this unlicensed Hearse. And actually, we have to throw that previous line out the window anyways, because now we're getting Narcomoebas into the battlefield, which are going to be able to block this Murktide Regent just repeatedly. So we've got 2 full blocks here. Unfortunately for Blue-Red Delver, the incremental nature of the combo means that you couldn't actually get rid of both of these Narcomoebas at the same time with a single activation of Unlicensed Hearse. They trigger and resolve on their own, one at a time. There are times where you're forced to exile the entire deck at instant speed with Nomads, but you can't even do that with Shuko. You do have to resolve each activation on its own. Dragon Rage, a 1/1. Does it have to attack? No. It is actually a 1/1. It does not have to attack. Taking out the Underground Sea with Wasteland. Casting an Aether Vial. Unlicensed Hearse activating again. And this time around, let's see, we could have had an extra 4 counters on there. Oh, here's Thassa's Oracle off of Cavern of Souls with no cards left in library. That's a wrap, just like that. The Thassa's Oracle comes down uncounterably, and the graveyard is not involved in this victory as Thassa's Oracle shows up from hand. Take down the ELD Team Trio Open. Congrats to Team 3 Guys, 1 card.